I always thought the worst betrayals came from strangers. Turns out, the deepest cuts come from the people who raised you. My name is Layla, and for most of my life, I convinced myself that my parents were just overprotective. That's what I used to call it, like a joke. Oh, that's just mom being mom. I'd laugh when she demanded my phone location. That's just dad being dad, when he showed up unannounced at my college dorm, just to check the vibe. But nothing prepared me for what happened after I moved into my first real apartment. The first time they broke in, I came home to the faint scent of my mother's lemon cleaner. The floors were shining. My dishes were washed. My laundry was folded. And on the kitchen counter sat a note in her flowery handwriting. "You should thank us. Love, Mom." My stomach twisted. I hadn't given them a key, yet they walked in like they owned the place. I confronted them the next day. "Where did you get a key?" Dad barely looked up from his phone. "We asked the landlord. He gave us a copy. We told him you were forgetful." Forgetful? I repeated. "This is my home." Mom scoffed. "Don't be dramatic, Layla. We're your parents. We're supposed to help you. You clearly needed it. That place was a disaster." It wasn't. And even if it was mine. I told them to stop. I told them it wasn't okay. I told them it was a violation. They didn't listen. The second break-in was worse. I came home early from work, and the moment I stepped into my living room, I froze. Dad's voice boomed from my bedroom. Mom's voice cut in, sharp and judgmental. They were going through my drawers. I stormed in to find my underwear scattered across the bed like some humiliating display. "What the hell are you doing?" I screamed. Dad didn't even blink. "This drawer is a mess. And what's with these clothes? You're wasting money." My face burned. "Get out." "No." Mom clicked her tongue. "Don't raise your voice at us. We're trying to keep you on track. Someone has to." I pushed past them and shoved their things into their arms. "If you don't leave right now, I'm calling the police." Mom gasped like I'd slapped her. "Police? On your own parents?" Dad pointed a finger at me. "We raised you better than this." But they left, angry, muttering, already planning what they'd do next. The third break-in broke something inside me. I was in the shower when I heard the door creak. Then muffled footsteps. Then drawers opening again. I didn't even bother getting dressed. I stormed out in a towel, dripping water onto the carpet. Mom held one of my journals. My journals. Dad was rummaging through my closet again. Something inside me went cold. "How did you even get in this time?" I whispered. Dad lifted a small silver object. A lockpicking tool. "You can't hide from us, Layla. You're still our daughter." That was the moment I realized they didn't see me as a person. Just property they thought they still owned. That night, I packed every single thing I cared about and moved into a new apartment 2 towns over. I didn't tell them. I didn't even tell my friends, in case my parents tried to squeeze it out of them. I paid extra to have the building under a no-disclosure privacy agreement. And most importantly, I told my new landlord everything. He gave me permission to involve the police the moment anyone trespassed. And oh, did they trespass? 3 weeks later, at 7:14 on a Saturday morning, I got an alert on my phone. Motion detected, old apartment. I turned on the camera I'd hidden in the entryway before moving out. There they were, my parents, slipping inside like they were burglars. Except this time I wasn't there. This time the apartment was empty. This time, they had no idea that both the landlord and the police were in on it. I sat on my new couch, sipping coffee, watching in real time as they spread out through the empty rooms, confusion turning to panic. "Where is she?" Mom snapped, pacing. "That's slam da cabinet. She must be hiding something. She thinks she can run from us." Then, footsteps in the hallway outside their view. A knock. Police. I saw the moment they froze, like prey cornered by predators. Mom whispered, "Layla, what did you do?" The officers entered, calm but firm. "You're trespassing. The tenant, your daughter, reported previous break-ins. You are under arrest." Their faces collapsed. Dad started shouting about rights, about parenthood, about family. Mom burst into hysterical sobs. And I just watched quiet, still, my heartbeat finally slowing after months of suffocating anxiety. Later, when the police called to confirm everything, the officer said, "They claimed they thought you still lived there. But the landlord said you'd moved out weeks ago. They knew they didn't have permission." "Yeah," I said softly. "They knew." The case went forward. I didn't drop the charges. For once in my life, I didn't cave. At the hearing, Mom turned to look at me, eyes red. "Layla, sweetie, why would you do this to us?" I held her gaze. "I didn't do this to you. You did this to yourselves. Dad tried one last time. We're your parents. And I said, voice steady, am an adult you refuse to respect." The judge issued a restraining order when they tried to fight but couldn't. They can't come near my home. They can't contact me. They can't access anything in my life anymore. You'd think that moment in court, seeing the consequences hit them, would have felt like the ultimate revenge. But no, the real revenge came later. When I got home to my new apartment, the place where every item was exactly where I'd left it, where silence wasn't suffocating, where the air didn't smell like intrusion, I stepped inside, locked the door, and realized something powerful. For the first time ever, the space was mine. My life was mine. And that was justice they could never break into again. I didn't expect the peace to feel so loud. For weeks after the court hearing, I kept expecting a knock on my door, a shadow under the hallway light, the metallic click of a key that shouldn't exist. My body was trained for panic. Months of living on edge had rewired me, but none of that happened. Instead, my nights grew quiet. My mornings felt mine. The air in my new apartment tasted like freedom. One evening, I walked out onto my small balcony, watching the city lights flicker like tiny, stubborn stars. The world finally felt wide enough for me, not like a cage disguised as concern. And that's when I got the letter. It wasn't from my parents, the restraining order made sure of that. It was from their lawyer. A carefully worded statement requesting reconciliation, which was a pretty word for control. They wanted to discuss the situation, repair the relationship, understand one another. I almost laughed. Understand? They broke into my home. They tore open my privacy, my autonomy, my adulthood. But it wasn't the offer that shook me. It was the last sentence. They feel you owe them a chance. Owe them. That word used to trap me. Now it liberated me. So I wrote one sentence back. I owe you nothing anymore. And as I sealed the envelope, I realized something. My revenge wasn't the police. It wasn't the restraining order. It wasn't watching them answer for their actions. It was this moment. The moment I could say no, and mean it. The moment I finally chose me. I walked back inside, closed the balcony door, and for the first time in my life, it didn't feel like I was closing myself off from someone. It felt like I was closing the book. The final page. The final word. The final break-in. Because they would never get into my life again. And if you're hearing my story right now, if you've ever felt trapped, cornered, controlled, let me tell you something from the deepest part of my rebuilt self. You don't owe anyone the pieces of yourself they keep trying to steal. If this story hit you hard, if it made you feel something, if it made you reconsider what you deserve, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Tell me your story. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you would have done. Your voice matters. Mine finally does too.